Raiders.
Okay. Preseason, Niners, Rams, Cowboys. That's a cool lineup. So week 1, we have the Broncos. And
Real quick, can I just say something?
Yeah.
Based off of looking, I like the way that the schedule is laid out more on this than scrolling all the way through each individual matchup. Like I get to
Right.
kind of visualize where they've been
Right.
more instead of, because you start to forget, who they played. But this is
Right.
like it's all there.
Back.
I like that.
I do like the slow build up to who's the next opponent, but this is cool too. I'm gonna go one at a time too. So week 1, Broncos. I really don't know what to expect with Sean Payton, mixing with Russell Wilson, but I would expect something better from them this season. Everybody still thinks that their defense is still good. We'll see. And then we'll also see how Russell Wilson reacts to another new offense,
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the opposite as used with the Niners. I'm not going to easily chalk up many wins here. But if I had to,
Raiders are going undefeated.
Hey man, Jimmy G.
Jimmy just wins games.
Right. I do see something that I like in week 13, but we'll get to that later. Week 1, it's in Denver. Oh man, I mean,
Give me the Broncos.
You know what? Yeah, I was just gonna say, the Raiders have the Broncos number. We are undefeated against them. I think the entirety of the Raiders' tenure in Vegas so far. So at least 3 seasons. I want to say it's the past 8 matchups. We're undefeated. And just because I can't stand the Broncos, let's just say it's a win for the Raiders. But week 2 is going to be a loss at Buffalo. I don't see a time, but I'm assuming that's 10 a.m.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and try to make this bigger. See if that helps. Are you able to see that a little bit better,
or? Okay, that helped. I'd say right there is good. Yeah. So yeah, 10 a.m. Week 1 is 1:25 p.m. Which is actually kind of a late game for Denver, I think. But anyways, yeah, Buffalo. That's a cool matchup. That looking at our opponents before seeing the schedule, Buffalo was the game that I want to go attend. Buffalo just came out and announced that they are going through with their new stadium, and the process is like beginning for them to build the next stadium. All I've heard are great things about their, tailgating experience in Buffalo. You see guys jumping on tables and stuff. I want to see it so bad.
Probably for Buffalo fans. I don't know how the experience is for away fans.
Yeah, I think the way that it comes off to me is that they're funny, and they're not Eagles fans, So I don't know. I just, if I can, I would like to go to this game, but if I can't, it's all right. I guess part of my mentality is I know how expensive Raiders tickets are. When Buffalo gets this new stadium in 3 years and they still have Josh Allen, those tickets are going to be impossible, I'm assuming. So I'd like to visit Buffalo's stadium
and then you probably want to get it before it's like all corporated out, because
Exactly.
when teams get a new stadium, it's like it never has the vibe of the old stadium.
Yeah. Then I mean, the Raiders now, the Golden State Warriors, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I've got the Raiders at 0-2 right now.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. Week 3, Sunday Night Football. I want to say that's at home. Okay, against the Steelers. I'd like to win that game. I can't say that
the Raiders could win that game.
Yeah, I mean, actually, this is similar to the Niners. We have the first 2 primetime games of week 3. You guys have Thursday, we have Sunday. And they're both home openers, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to say because it's a home opener, I'll give us the win. But I think the way that I might look at it is we're 1-2. We either win the Bronco or Steelers game.
Mhm.
Week 4 at Chargers. Like you said about the Rams, this is the Raiders' extra home game. Um, I can't say whether, I mean, looking on paper, the Chargers should win this game, plain and simply. The
Mhm.
Chargers have a pretty nice roster on paper, but every year they somehow manage to not do what they're expected to do. Uh,
Um,
any thoughts so far these first 4 weeks?
so I think that week 1, 3, and 4 are definitely winnable weeks.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I like the Broncos in week 1. I just think I have this. It's going to be like a oh welcome back Sean Payton kind of week, and
Right.
also Russell Wilson got humiliated last year. He got the media was absolutely out to get him last year, and
Yeah.
everybody was like because
He's
Russell
so,
Wilson's
yeah,
he's kind of a corny guy,
he is
and
very
like
corny.
and so a lot of his former teammates say how unapproachable he is. So I mean, last season was just like he was an easy target, and I think that he was a great player, during his tenure with the Seahawks. Obviously, he started to dwindle off after a couple years, but I think that he has a good deep ball. He may not run outside the pocket, as much as he used to, but if you pair him with a, a competent head coach instead of Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, Sean Payton won a Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
don't think Sean Payton's the best head coach in the NFL. I don't even think I mean, maybe top 5.
Right.
But I would
He's
really
all
have to go look at the coaches. But
Yeah. I think one thing with Sean Payton is he makes very good decisions, but I think his tenure with the Saints was greatly uplifted by a historical Drew Brees career, Um I don't know. I just part of me wonders if Russell Wilson just doesn't have it anymore. I also have questions about the run game because Javonte Williams is coming off an injury, and I think Melvin Gordon's officially gone.
yeah, I think
Um,
he's a free agent still. So
yeah, and I think their offensive line got worse this offseason. They overpaid Mike McGlinchey, a guy that you know. But I mean, in that sense, they got better. But
what do you
Mike
mean
McGlinchey,
overpaid? The 49ers said that he was just too good, so they couldn't re-sign him. He was going to be too expensive.
exactly.
No, Lynchy, I mean, he's a solid run blocker. Like I'll give him that. Like I like him when he's run blocking. I just think that he's kind of a liability when it comes to pass blocking. For the most part, he's solid, but he just his foot he needs better footwork
Yeah,
because a couple plays a game he'll just kind of end. I mean, it'll look bad because he'll just end up on the ground somewhere,
yeah. I'd
spinning
like to
around.
think. Yeah, I'd really like to think that we mop the floor with the Broncos, but I can't really predict anything with this Raiders team because I don't know how Garoppolo is going to do. I don't know when he's going to be healthy or unhealthy, and I don't know how this defense is going to play. I think our offense should be efficient, but will it be efficient enough to counter how inefficient our defense will be? Um,
Hmm.
but maybe a three-headed monster at defensive end with Crosby, Chandler Jones, and Tyree Wilson might make a big difference. And then maybe our corners play a little better and our safeties play a little smarter. We'll see. I mean, something I didn't talk about earlier. They drafted a linebacker in the 6th round, but linebacker is just a glaring hole for the Raiders right now. So that
You said glaring hole, or are we at the Vikings game on Monday night?
oh god, great. Uh, I would like to think coming out of week 4, the Raiders are 2-2. But I'm not expecting a 500 season. I think we might be just below 500 at the end of the season. And week 5 is one of those. Oh no, I was going to say week 5 is lost, but I completely forgot about Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers. I'd go on a limb and
I
say,
don't think the Packers are going to drop off well. I don't think their passing game is going to be as great as it was, but I think we're going to see a more balanced offense. And honestly, I don't think Jordan Love is really that much of a scrub. We don't really know much about him yet.
Yeah, I think
And
that's the main thing is we haven't seen much of him. The one game that he did play, I think last year, whenever year it was, when I think Rodgers had
against
COVID,
Kansas City,
he played pretty well. Now Kansas City's defensive backs were suspect at the time, I want to say, but if he can go out there and play competent, they can do something. I think the Packers defense is very underrated. So yeah, this is another game again where it's not an easy thing to say. Like I think the Raiders will win this game, but I'd like to think that on Monday Night Football at home, hopefully we can win. Like I guess so far, the games I really want to win, the Bronco game, just because I can't stand the Broncos and I love the streak that we have. And then the two primetime games at home, Sunday Night Football against the Steelers, now Monday Night Football against the Packers. I like to win those games. Week 6, we got the Patriots at home, and that's a rematch of last year's crazy finish with Chandler Jones stiff-arming Mac Jones after the weird, crazy play with Jacoby Myers, now a Raider, throwing that football to Chandler Jones. It's Josh McDaniels versus Bill Belichick. You never know. I think the Patriots are going to be much better this year. I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team because that division alone is so tough. Now with Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill, and now fucking Jalen Ramsey. It's like that division is tough. Like I think the AFC East this year is what we expected the AFC West to be last year. I think the AFC East is legit what we thought the West was going to be last year.
who's in the AFC East again? I'm sorry, I'm
Bills.
I'm paying attention, but you know, it's just hard for me to think right now.
They're all hungry. Sorry, they're all on this schedule.
Is it the Bills, Dolphins, the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets?
Yeah.
Okay,
so those are 4 great teams on paper.
Those are 3 great teams, and then the Patriots.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. I wouldn't say the Patriots are great, but I think they are sleepers. Now, the problem for them is that they have 6 games that they should lose in divisional games.
I wouldn't even call the Jets great yet. I would call them competitive.
Yeah,
we have to see it all come together because the Packers weren't even that bad of a roster last year, but I just don't know. I think Rodgers looks more focused this year than he did last year. Yeah. I think a new environment will be good for him. I just don't know how much desire he has to still play football. Like that to me is a question, but I think they should be a very competitive team this year, much more than last year.
Yeah, for sure. Week 7 at the Bears. The Bears are like this wild card team this season, kind of like the way I felt about the Dolphins last year, where they have this young quarterback that, I mean, I don't think Tua took a big step a year ago, but Justin Fields feels like he did. Maybe not quite as a passer, but as a playmaker for sure. And now they have DJ Moore and a couple other additions. This isn't a team that I can say that the Raiders will beat. Last year, I'd say yes, but not this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then week 8 is that game that I was talking about that I'm so excited for. I'm a massive Raiders fan, so I think no matter what the Raiders look like, they're exciting to me. But the Lions are, to me, the most exciting team in football right now. Like you personally, Josh, you know how I am, where I like to root for the underdog. So when it comes to the Super Bowl, the playoffs, whatever, I'm rooting for the teams that don't have much experience in the Super Bowl and playoffs. So like the Cincinnati Bengals, a team like the Detroit Lions, like I want to see teams that haven't even won it. The Minnesota Vikings, I want to see those teams go out there and win Super Bowls, So Lions, I like the way that they've built their team. I love Dan Campbell. Besides week 8, I want to see them tear a hole in the league. Mm-hmm. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't, but because they would have to go through the Niners, or at least the Niners would have to go through themselves first.
Right.
And Kirk Cousins will have to go through his wife. Vice versa.
Yeah, I think vice versa.
Yeah. Let's see. The New York Giants. What do you think, Mike?
I think that's a playoff team. I think the Giants. It's at home for the Raiders, but 2 weeks in a row at home against New York teams. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, normally it's the other way around, right?
Right. Yeah. I I can't project wins against either of those teams. Really, I can see it more against the Jets, I think, than the Giants. I think one thing to note that I was kind of thinking about earlier was Josh Jacobs. I think like week 1, if he's holding out, it's an L. If Josh Jacobs isn't playing for the Raiders, these are all mostly losses. The same goes for the Giants. I don't see anybody recreating what Le'Veon Bell did a few years ago, holding out because they got franchise tagged. But, these are two teams, the Giants and Raiders, that have franchise tagged running backs that, need to figure that out. But I think as long as Saquon is playing at a high level, and I think the way that the Giants are becoming an up-and-coming team, I would kind of expect the Giants to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've said a few times tonight, crazier things have happened. Like I said, I think the Raiders can be an efficient offense. It's really the defense that's a question for me. I think a lot of these games are winnable, but I just can't come on here and say right now, yeah, I think we win this game, about most of these games.
Yeah, so honestly, I think the Dolphins are I feel like you can almost lock them up to beat the Raiders in week 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, obviously the season will play out differently than what we think right now. But I don't know if you wanted to go in depth, but
I mean, I think week 9 through 11 is a stretch of really fun teams that are up and coming with a lot of potentials, especially the Dolphins. And it'll be fun to watch the Raiders lose to all three of them. Now, I mean, knowing the Raiders, they'll pull out a win against one of these teams. I don't know which, or they'll pull out a win against
knowing Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to
win all three
against all of them.
Yeah. No, they're going to go undefeated every time Garoppolo plays, but he's only going to play like six games.
Fuck. Well, you know what? He doesn't have Kyle anymore, so maybe he'll play the whole season.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Kansas City.
Week 12. Week 12 at home against Kansas City. I'd love to beat them just once, but with a team that seems to have gone, you know what? Actually, okay. I'll ask you, do you think the Raiders have gotten worse or better this offseason? Like really looking at it. They got rid of Waller and Carr. I think those are the two major, players that have left.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I think Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's skill-wise.
Yeah, 100%.
For what the teams need right now, I think the Raiders need a culture change in their locker room, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo is an excellent spokesperson, kind of like CEO type of, like public speaker, and I think that he's very friendly with his teammates when he's there. When it's outside of football, apparently he's really hard to get a hold of, but maybe he just sort of felt uncomfortable in San Francisco, towards the end. But I heard that he was hard to reach throughout the entire tenure.
Right.
But
I think they needed a change.
I think they needed a change. I think Jimmy Garoppolo for $26 million is better than Derek Carr for what? Is he $40 million?
42. Yeah, I agree.
So the Raiders are saving cap money that they can spend somewhere else.
Yep.
And I think moving on from Darren Waller, I think is a good move. Well, okay, Darren Waller is a great player. That's no debate. He's a great
29. Player. He's not getting younger, but
he's not getting younger. and you're going to
He
have
was
to pay him.
injured, often injured.
Didn't he had
This
a
past
big
season.
contract with the Raiders, didn't he?
His numbers
Or
are going to keep.
he was due for one.
He got a solid contract, but the reason why we were able to trade him is because he had almost no guarantees. So we were able to completely get out of the contract when we traded him, and we could have cut the same, I think, outcome.
So for a team that just kind of needs a culture change, it's okay to. I mean, to me, if you're gonna rebuild, don't rebuild. I mean, if you're gonna rebuild, don't reload. Like, clean house.
Yeah.
Clean house. Come on. Like, especially for a team that has been this bad for about 2 decades, you're just you're keeping a little bit of the same DNA. You know, sometimes you just gotta you gotta really dig in. And I'm sorry, some good players are gonna leave, but will Derek Carr be better off without the Raiders? Probably. Will the Raiders be better off without Derek Carr? Maybe not immediately, but long term, I believe so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same. I got 2 things off of that. Yeah. I was gonna say earlier, and I kind of forgot, but well, for one thing, you mentioned that the Raiders needed a change of leadership and such. Like, I think Derek Carr is a good leader. I just think with the pairing of Josh McDaniels, they needed it, and just the failure of last season, they needed a change, and Derek Carr was the obvious choice. Mm-hmm. And I think getting a guy that's played under McDaniels before is a good decision. It's just a matter of, can he stay healthy, Mm-hmm. Damn, I completely forgot what I was going to say about the other part, but we can keep going. It might come back to me.
Could we speed it up a little bit? Because
absolutely.
I'm starving over here.
No problem. So week 12, probably a loss. Week 13 bye. I love a late bye week. Usually the Raiders get screwed and get like a week 7 bye, and it's like they have to power through the end of the season. Week 14 at home against the Vikings. If I'm going to go to a home game, I'd love to go to this game.
That's not a Monday night, though.
Yeah, so we probably lose, but I that's the team that, like the Lions,
so that's one where Kirk Cousins will be able to celebrate later that night. So if you're in the general vicinity, just know that guy over there. I mean, I really need a layoff of Kirk Cousins. So that's why I started it. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that that's just like a reoccurring joke now.
Yeah. Well, he went in Vegas, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. He's breaking news. Kirk Cousins out for the season.
Yeah. Breaking news. Kirk Cousins steals the handle off of a slot machine. It's unknown what he's going to do with the handle.
Oh God. Week 15 Thursday Night Football. So it's a short week against the Chargers. It's at home, so they could stay at home 2 weeks in a row after a bye. But, I mean, I don't know what the Chargers have the week before that, but I'm probably giving this to the Chargers. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that we split with the Chargers. Probably the Broncos too, but I'd like to keep shutting out the Broncos. But I think every year it's annually like a split with the Chargers and Raiders. So I'd like to win the Thursday night home game, but if it's the week 4, Chargers home game, okay, And then week 16, I forgot to mention this on the Niners schedule, but the Niners play the Seahawks. No, Ravens. The Niners and Ravens game is on Christmas, prime time, 5:20.
It is?
Yeah, that was the other interesting thing about the Niners schedule. It wasn't going to say that, but it was a 5:20 game. I think it's a Sunday night game, or maybe it's a Monday, but we just looked at it and like, oh, cool, primetime home game for the Niners. It's on Christmas. And the Raiders play the Chiefs Christmas morning. There's 3 games that day. Those are 2 of them.
Ooh. It's going to be an excellent Christmas this year.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Losing to the Chiefs on Christmas is not cool. Yeah. Yeah. God. But I thought the Niners getting 2 holiday games was interesting. And the Raiders getting the Chiefs on Christmas is rough. That's not going to be fun. But by that point, I might be a little checked out and, counting the draft picks by then. So, but again,
maybe it will be an excellent Christmas for you, unless Jimmy Garoppolo decides to win another game.
Yeah, you never know. And then, I
Right.
mean, to end it out, we got the Broncos to start and end the season. That's pretty interesting. But week 17 at the Colts, they have the new quarterback, um, Richardson, right?
Yeah.
I hope I'm
Honestly,
right.
give me the Raiders in this game.
I could see it.
I think it's going to be a developmental year for Anthony Richardson. I could
Yeah,
see him dropping a few games, and honestly, I think at this point, Josh McDaniels might be fighting for his job. Then again, Mark Davis said he doesn't have money to fire people, so
yeah.
like,
I think that's an interesting topic because I think Mark Davis, and maybe you're right about the money aspect of it, but I think Mark Davis, for as much shit as he gets, I think that he wants a head coach and general manager tandem to be given the proper amount of time to build their team. Like you were saying about properly rebuilding, that's the thing I was going to say. Last season, they came in thinking, hey, we're coming off a playoff year. We're going to come in here with Derek Carr. He's a great quarterback. We're going to go out there and we're going to win some games with Devontae Adams, blah, blah, blah. Didn't happen, okay? Most of the fans look at Josh McDaniels and say, dude, you suck. I think it takes time to properly build a team your way. The fans would have been even more upset if they came in last offseason, don't trade for Devontae Adams, trade Derek Carr. It'd be nice to get capital for him, but, and just immediately rebuild. It would have felt like John Gruden all over again trading Khalil Mack. That's what all the fans would have thought. So it was nice that they gave him a chance. It didn't work. It's time to rebuild. That's where we're at right now. I agree with you on all that.
mhm.
And it's going to be a process. And I think that Mark Davis understands that. I think Mark Davis is looking at it in the long haul, and he's thinking, I want to build the proper winner, and we need the quarterback that's going to make that. It's going to make the difference. That's what they need. I think this year it's going to be a let's see how high we can get in the draft type of year, and I think I could see them trading up similar to the Niners for Trey Lance for a top tier quarterback in next year's draft. And hopefully this year, the main thing to take away from this season is that our defense develops. If our defense can develop and our offense is surrounding the quarterback very well, I think that next season, 2024, I think that can be when the promising, things start to happen with a rookie quarterback, top 5 pick. Excuse me. I think that's the way it's looking for the Raiders. Week 17, sure, we can win. Week 18 at home, I'd like to win, but also if we're in the hunt for a top 3 pick, give me the L.
Hey,
I don't care.
Hot take right now. This probably might not happen, but this is a possibility. Jimmy Garoppolo at some point during the season gets hurt. Aiden
Mhm.
O'Connell comes in and he just brings a new energy into
Hey,
this building like they haven't seen, and the Raiders start winning some games and maybe squeak in as a wild card team. I'm
mhm.
not ruling that out.
Yeah, I will say also one thing. I do want to touch on that Aiden O'Connell thought. Uh, I don't want it to sound like I want the Raiders to lose. I want the Raiders to lose when we have no hope. But week 1, week 2, week 3, I want them to win. It's always just win, baby. But once it's clear that that's not happening, it's a matter of what our future is. If we go out there and we go 7-9 or whatever it would be, and we can't, without giving up way too much capital, go up and get the quarterback that will change this franchise for the next 12 years, it's not worth it to win those games this year. I'm sorry. I would rather win 3 games like the Bears, earn the first pick. I mean, the Bears had Justin Fields. They decided to go with him. But they could have easily said, Bryce Young's our guy. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's roll, And it might prove to be smart. It might prove to be dumb. But next year's draft is supposed to be the big quarterback draft. So yeah. But the other thing I was going to say about you mentioning Aiden O'Connell, the biggest thing I kept hearing from all the experts and media about this previous draft that just happened was, hey, who's going to be the next Brock Purdy? You never know. Maybe the next Brock Purdy doesn't come for the next 3-4 years, or ever. But you never know. Maybe it is Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, I'd like to think that maybe if this season's a wash, and you get these last 2 weeks, maybe even the last 3 weeks, where it's like maybe Garoppolo's hurt, or okay, we're clearly not in the running for anything. Let's see what Aiden O'Connell has. Just strut him out there. Probably lose the games, but get him some play time just to see how he plays. Kind of similar to the guy, the backup from this year that played the Niners. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. Stidham, thank you. Stidham. But and maybe yes. But you can strut out Aiden O'Connell, get him some play time, see how he plays. In the meantime, lose those games and get higher draft picks, maybe. Or, like you said, maybe things just go right for the team and they actually become a wild card team this year. You never know. But I think if the Raiders are in the running for if they have a shot for a top 3 pick, yeah, you know what I'm rooting for.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what we say or what we predict, because it's going to play out much differently than what we all expect.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the beauty of football. That's what I really love, is just seeing it all unfold.
Yeah. And the beauty of our friendship is being able to talk football for almost 2 hours now. And it feels like 20 minutes.
Yeah, man.
So